me, if I was Katherine, yes, she walked with a limp, but that don't mean shit. You Michael Jackson's mama. All you had to do was call around there to like I said, always get an NBA player. Hi, Julius Irving. Hi, how are you? This is Katherine Jackson. That's right, Michael Jackson's mama. I need you to come around here and mow some grass. Well, hello there, love bugs. Hello there, bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com. And if you are not a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's continue talking about Michael Jackson's The Magic, the Madness, the Whole Story by J. Randy Terrible Lele. I love Katherine Jackson had tolerated many years of unfaithfulness from Joseph. She knew he was cheating on her. Everyone knew. Joseph had been on the road with the boys for years and having brief encounters with their groupies. Gross. I said that shit was gross before, and I'm going to keep saying it's gross. That is gross. Why would you want somebody that wants your sons? Ugh. That's like the Aretha Franklin. Remember when Dennis Edwards was messing with, who is that? Who's the oldest one? Carolyn first. And then she decided, ooh, you don't know what to do with all that, Dennis Edwards. And stole him from her. Ugh. Not only had her friends told her several of Joseph's more audacious girlfriends had telephoned the house over the years to brag about their encounters with him. I'd be like, bitch, get in line. I don't want those women calling the house, she would scream at Joseph, sometimes in front of the children. I'm sick of it, Joseph. Enough is enough. The reasons for Joseph's actions didn't matter to Katherine. She wasn't even sure she wanted him to stop his philandering, as she told one friend. She simply wanted him to be more discreet. In truth, Joseph treated Katherine just as she had allowed him to treat her for as long as they'd been husband and wife. There was little reason for him to stop. As far as he was concerned, in his view, he worked hard for the Jacksons. He supported his family. He gave them a good life. So what he did on his free time was none of their concerns, as long as he was present when they needed him. You're not on stage. You're not on stage. Watch her get down, to the do on the scene. That's not you, Joseph. In January 1973, Katherine learned that one of Joseph's girlfriends had become pregnant and had a miscarriage. At first, she couldn't believe it. It was more than she could bear. However, when she confirmed that it was true, she decided that she had no choice but to end the marriage. It's over, she announced. My marriage is over. Immediately, the children sided with her. Oldest daughter, Rebe, who was 23, couldn't bear to be in the same room with her father. The Jackson offspring had seen Joseph mistreat Katherine for so many years. They were happy to see her finally take a stand against him. I hate Joseph, Michael said to one of the Motown staffers. I hate him so much for what he has done to my mother. I hate him more than I can even say. I don't bash no woman for choosing her relationship. Each relationship has their problems, child. That's all I can say. I mean, I done met women who've been treated worse and stay in relationships longer. I don't believe that the children should be mad at the father for Katherine's choices. I think there should be an understanding where Katherine, listen, I know you're disappointed in your father right now, but I'm choosing to stay. Because she damn sure made it abundantly clear that she was the victim, that your father doing all these things to me. Why don't you make it abundantly clear that I'm choosing to stay with this mother? So then the children can get an understanding of the dynamic of the relationship instead of just blaming Joseph for everything. When we read the LaToya Jackson book, LaToya wasn't lying. Katherine is a piece of work. But Michael, the Motown employee, said, you shouldn't feel that way. After all, he's your father. I wish he wasn't my father sometimes, said 14-year-old Michael. I wish it with all my heart. He's the loser here, Michael said. His whole thing is always about winners and losers, and who wins and who loses. With this thing, he loses big time. Katherine filed for divorce in Los Angeles on March 9th, 1973. When Motown heard that Katherine had filed for divorce, all hell broke loose, remembered one family friend. This could have ruined everything in terms of their family image. All of those stories about how close they were, what a loving family they were. It had the potential to be a public relations disaster. Ooh, Beyonce's internet would have tore a hole in Joseph's ass. You hear me? Oh my God, I am so happy that there was no internet when I was growing up. So then you could get away with cheating. Then, now you can't. Now you can't. You can't. You can't even, say hello to a female that looked like she having a bad day without somebody jumping out there saying, oh, NayRob cheating on her wife. Today, you couldn't keep something like that out of the press, especially with the court filing. In the early 70s, the press wasn't as intrusive as they are today. The news was never leaked. However, Katherine was badgered constantly by company officials who tried to convince her to reconcile with Joseph for the sake of her family's image. Hold on. Jet wasn't around? Jet didn't get a word of this? Ain't nobody calling into the Jet. You know them niggas. The Jet was the Tasha K before the Tasha K, because the Jet will print a lovely little story about you and your family and your beautiful home in the March edition. And then 2 months later, print an episode of your husband fucking on a gorilla. After a couple of months, Katherine withdrew her divorce papers. Joseph promised her that he would try to change and that she should not break up the family over his past behavior. Much to the dismay of her children, Katherine and Joseph were reconciled. And that's when Katherine, like LaToya said, Katherine is a piece of work. She always your father ain't shit, right? He around here getting bitches pregnant, right? And then, kicking them down steps so they can lose the baby, right? Your father ain't good. He around here fucking on Jackie's groupie, right? You know that, right? When we got finished reading LaToya Jackson's book, we knew that it was all Katherine's fault. Katherine approved this behavior, okay? And it ain't new. A lot of women do it. But don't make yourself the victim. Like me, if I was Katherine, yes, she walked with a limp, but that don't mean shit. You Michael Jackson's mama. All you had to do was call around there to, like I said, always get an NBA player. Hi, Julius Irving. Hi, how are you? This is Katherine Jackson. That's right, Michael Jackson's mama. I need you to come around here and mow some grass. That's all Katherine had to do. But she chose to be a victim. I know you all Jehovah's Witness, but you're human. Despite the Jackson 5's worldwide popularity with concert goers, trouble was brewing where their record sales were concerned. In Europe, sales had always been uneven. However, record store performance in America had always been strong. By April 1972, though, whether from overexposure or lack of promotion, the group was losing steam. The April release of Little Bitty Pretty One was a huge disappointment, except for the seasonal release of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It became the poorest selling Jackson 5 single to date, netting only close to 600,000 copies globally. Its follow-up, Looking Through the Window, fared even worse. When an album, Skywriter, was released in March and sold only 115,000 copies, it became the group's poorest selling album. It didn't even reach the top 50 in Britain. Joseph believed that all of the records which had been failures could have been more successful if Motown had simply promoted them properly. There was a reprieve in the downward slide when producer Hal Davis put together a terrific track for the Jackson Boys called Get It Together. The production was tight. The music, background vocals, and Michael's maturing lead all blended nicely on this performance, a departure from a sweeter pop music style previously associated with the group. Released in August 1973, it sold over 700,000 copies. Though not a million seller, it encouraged Joseph in his belief that his son still had an audience. To his way of thinking, the Jackson 5 was not finished. If anything, he was finished within Motown. In early 1973, while Katherine and Joseph were distracted by the discord in their marriage, their son Jermaine was falling in love with Berry Gordy's daughter. He had been dating Hazel Gordy for several months, and at just 18 seemed about to follow Reeby's and Tito's lead by using matrimony to extricate himself from the Jackson homestead. Jermaine had been attracted to Hazel when they first met in 1969, but not in the same way in which she fancied him. After a short time, Hazel told Jermaine she was in love with him. He made it clear that he was not sure he could return her affection. He was a teenage idol, a star, and could have his pick of dozens of willing young women. This kind of idolatry was heady stuff for a young man like Jermaine. It made the idea of settling down with one woman seem confining, no matter who she might be. Jermaine likes girls too much to get married, Michael had said. I think he'll be in his 30s before he does anything like that. However, Hazel was a young, idealistic girl who wanted more than anything to marry and have a family. Not only had her father been divorced 3 times, she had witnessed his tumultuous, heart-wrenching affair with Diana Ross. Say what you want to about my baby. Say that she, a go-getter in every which way. But she went through some bullshit with Berry Gordy. Remember what I said? Once you a part of their, stable or whatever it is that you call it, they there forever. This woman got married to Tracy Ellis Ross and Chutney Ross's father. And the nigga still didn't leave him alone. Instead of it being a duo, now it's a threesome. Okay? I don't know what to say about them Sagittarian men. They just back off for a little bit and then they come back. Dolores Robertson, who was a friend of Hazel's at the time, recalled Berry Gordy had been lavishing Hazel, his only daughter, with gifts for as long as she could remember. I believe that. She told him that she was in love with one of the Jackson 5 and she wanted him for her own. Her feelings for Jermaine were so strong she was afraid to let him slip through her fingers for fear that no one like him would ever come along. Ooh. Y'all, do you think Berry Gordy sat Jermaine down and said, okay, my daughter wants you. She wants you to marry her. I think you should. Now, both of them are Sagittarians, okay? And all I'm going to say is if Jermaine thinks that his future is in the hands of Berry Gordy and in the pants of his daughter, Hazel, then I think he's going to step away from the family, okay? Because after all, at this point, Michael is the main attraction. Stepping towards Barry Gordy and Hazel Gordy may put him in a situation where he's the star, not Michael. Okay? So I kind of don't blame him, you know, considering who he is. Right? She told him that she was in love with one of the Jackson 5 and she wanted him for her own. Her feelings for Jermaine were so strong that she was afraid to let him slip through her fingers for fear that no one like him would ever come along again. She was jealous when she would see Jermaine with female fans. Michael can have fans, but you can't, she used to tell him. Barry made sure she usually got what she wanted. Now she wanted Jermaine.